I want to talk about the policy change for EA and SCE customers and how that affects you as a CSP partner. Is that something you would like to know about? I think it's something you should know about. So it's only probably 6 slides, so it's not going to be, we'll still make the glass of wine, so that's good. Right, let us, so slight change. If you are thinking, oh, actually, I've just thought of a question on what we've just covered, you're welcome to ask that. Let's take those at the very end. So let's focus on this for the moment. So which side of the room is the customer currently in? Of course, they're over here. This is a customer who is in the legacy world. And we said that what Microsoft are doing is the new shiny modern commerce world. They're trying to get customers across there, but only when it can do what they need it to do. So there are some EA and server and cloud enrollment customers who are simple enough that actually for what they need to buy, they can buy it through the new commerce experience. What product are we talking about here?
Either the part of the field-led or machine partner.
Right, by product, I mean, is it software, is it online services, or is it Azure? Azure, absolutely. So what we're saying is, for some existing enterprise agreement or server and cloud enrollment customers, modern commerce has become advanced enough and actually is better than the old experience that we're going to start forcing you over to modern commerce. Remember, this customer is now going to have that choice. Am I going to go modern with a partner? Am I going to go modern carrying on being built and supported by Microsoft? And it's really important that we're completely clear that all Microsoft are saying is, dear customer, you come to the end of the EA track, you have to go modern, choose the right one for you. Is that CSP or is that carrying on buying direct from Microsoft? So that's in a nutshell. Let's get the detail. So this is just making sure we remember what the new commerce model is. So we've come to the end and we are going to take customers into one of these on here. I think probably you're okay on that one. Right, ways to buy Azure, a comparison. What I've tried to do here is compare the enterprise agreement with modern commerce. And modern commerce is always the Microsoft customer agreement, but this is direct from a Microsoft salesperson. This is through CSP. And what you'll find is that broadly these are pretty much the same, like US dollar price lists and monthly pricing, etc. But there are some changes or differences. Here, I'm billed by Microsoft and I'm supported by Microsoft. I'm billed by the partner, supported by the partner. If you have a look at the billing for the consumption services, in the EA, we know it's all about upfront monetary commitment. Direct from a salesperson or through CSP is monthly in arrears, but this has just been made available to people who buy direct from Microsoft, Azure prepayment option. What is Azure prepayment option new lingo for? Monetary commit. That would be too easy, wouldn't it? If we called this monetary commitment, we'd all know what it was. So Azure prepayment, and apparently I have to spell it with all little p's and no hyphen. So I have. Now, this is for the customer who has said, I refuse to move off the enterprise agreement until I can pay up front. This is for the customer, you know, some customers do like that annual cadence of billing, paying up front. That's available. Is Azure prepayment, as we will call it, available in CSP? That's not a bad answer. It is. You can offer Azure prepayment. You can say to your customers, oh yes, pay me £1 million at the start of the year and we'll see how we go. You can do that if that's what your customer wants. You are billed monthly in arrears. You can bill your customers however you want. You can say, you need to pay me $5,000 at the beginning of the month and we'll see how we go, pay the balance at the end, or we'll roll it over or not. Or you can have that. So this sounds like, oh, Microsoft are making things available that, you know, aren't available in CSP, but actually you could do that if you wanted to. November FY20 policy for Azure deals. This is Microsoft speak for, on the 1st of November, there's a change in the way enterprise agreements and server and cloud enrollments work for Azure. So 1st of November is D-Day. And we have to be really careful here. Microsoft are doing this really slowly, so they're saying, actually, it's not for all EA and SCE customers, it's for a really tiny amount. You need to be a commercial customer. That means this does not apply to public sector. You need to be in a direct market. Now, in the UK, commercial EA customers are direct. And the rules are that it's around an Azure-only SCE or a desktop EA with Azure. That's where the rules have changed. Let's take a look. So let's have a look at what happened before November the 1st, if you were and after. If you were a customer before November the 1st, then you could sign an enterprise enrollment by committing to the desktop, and you could buy monetary commitment for Azure. So this is where you make your annual payment for Azure. After the 1st of November, if you are a brand new customer, so I'm a customer who's existing in this old world, perhaps I'm a Select Plus customer, and previously it would have made sense for me to, actually, why don't I commit to the desktop? Yeah, buy some monetary commitment for Azure. After the 1st of November, Microsoft are not stopping the EA for that desktop commitment. They're kind of going back in time. The EA started with, that's how you buy Windows, Office and the Cal Suite for all of the desktops. And they're kind of starting to collapse down what you can buy through the EA because the new stuff is going to be ready over there. So if that brand new customer says, yes, I want to commit to the desktop, fine, I'd sign an EA for that. But then I'd have to go to the new commerce experience for Azure. You're not going to be able to have monetary commitment on an enterprise agreement. Server and cloud enrollment. So we have an enterprise agreement. An enterprise enrollment is where you commit to the desktop. The server and cloud enrollment is where you commit to either the server or the cloud. And here, if I have an Azure-only SCE, then I'm making my commitment to Azure, and the way I make my commitment is to buy monetary commit, and after the 1st of November, you won't be able to do that. So there are no new Azure-only SCEs. You have to go the new commerce experience. Remember, that's one or the other. Then, server and cloud enrollment committing to the server product. So if I commit to SQL or the core infrastructure products or Visual Studio, if I want to buy Azure through that, actually I just pay for the Azure consumption monthly. And just to make life a bit more interesting, after the 1st of November, it's your choice, Mr. Customer. You can, if you want to commit to these products, then fine, sign the server and cloud enrollment. But your Azure, you could either choose to pay for it on there or go the new commerce experience on there. So in a nutshell on here, what Microsoft is saying is because over here is ready and fit for purpose, we're not going to let you have an Azure-only SCE. You've got to go new commerce experience. And because it's ready over here, you can sign a new EA, fine, commit to the desktop, but you can't have Azure through that at that point. So that's new customers. Arguably, how many new EA customers are there? But those are the facts. Let's turn, though, to renewing. So this is a little bit more interesting. Remember, we're still only talking about commercial customers in direct markets. So enterprise enrollment, let's say prior to November, you have signed an EA, you've made a commitment to the desktop, you have monetary commitment on that EA. After that, then your choice is going to be, renew, commit to the desktop if you still want to do that, but then you've got a choice for Azure. Microsoft are not kicking you off the EA if you want to do that, but if all along you've been thinking as a customer, I hate monetary commitment, please let me get away from monetary commitment, then this is your chance to break loose and go to the new commerce experience. Enterprise enrollment. If I have, so this is just a different flavour, so both of them are committed to the desktop. They did have Azure, they didn't have Azure. Because they didn't have Azure, then they're not going to be allowed to have Azure on there. So a customer who had an enterprise enrollment where they committed to the desktop, fine, renew, commit to the desktop, you'll never be allowed to add Azure to that. Server and cloud enrollment, you've got the commitment, you've got to go for the new commerce experience. You could enter a server and cloud enrollment extended term. Hang on, let me get my head around this. So I've been paying Microsoft lots of money for Azure under a server and cloud enrollment. I'm told actually I've got to go to the new commerce experience for Azure, either one. However, could enter an extended term. What sort of customer does this? Yeah, okay, so public sector, not in scope. Public sector, stay over there. This is the customer that says, need to go modern, can't quite decide. So this is kind of a waiting room, if you like, to decide. Here, this means go with Microsoft still or go with a partner. This is fine for customers going, you've just sprung this on me, I'm confused, I need to think. There's an extended term. However, there's room for one more option. Or renew your server and cloud enrollment. Now you're thinking, what? Julie, can we have the things down? Whispered at the bottom here, if a customer's needs can't be met in the new commerce model. Okay, we can cover it up again now. So this is when a customer, the policy is, you've got Azure only on an SCE, no can do, must go over there. Then you look at that SCE and you think, God, they've got concessions, they've got amendments, they're a huge multinational. Okay, that's not quite ready for you. Okay, Mr. Customer, you can renew. So this is clearly done with Microsoft's assistance because they've got to make sure that the customer can still do what they've always done. So really what we're saying is that modern commerce is ready for a lot of customers who are in this situation. So they're going to have to go to it. However, for the really big, complicated customers, Microsoft aren't just for the sake of it going to say, well, yeah, it all worked fine over there, but no, policy is you've got to come over here. They'll be able to renew the server and cloud enrollment. And then the last one is just, again, that choice. That if you have got a server and cloud enrollment where you've committed to one of the other products, then your choice, do you want Azure on that or not? Okay. Questions on that? So policy change is the commercial customers' direct markets, and really we're thinking of, we're not trying to get a desktop EA customer across. Keep your desktop EA because that's not ready for desktop EA stuff. But if you've got Azure on there, then that's ready for a lot of customers now. And if it just can't do what a customer needs to do, then there is the option to. Some customers are here, they've got to choose. Okay? So they need to transition from old world to new world. And remember, in the new world, there's two choices. There's partner-led and there's Microsoft-led. So 2 slides. One is going to be how do you transition to the Microsoft-led new commerce experience. So this customer has decided that they like being billed by Microsoft and supported by Microsoft, and they're going to go for the Microsoft-led experience. So what they do, they have to initiate the transition. What they have over here in this world is a whole load of subscriptions that point to the enterprise agreement for the billing. And what they've got to do is take those subscriptions onto the new platform and point them to the Microsoft customer agreement for billing. So this is what the transition is. It's a wizard to help the customer. By its very nature, they've never done this before. So the way it works is a customer, so I'm a customer here, I'm talking to a Microsoft salesperson, and they say, oh, do you want to go Microsoft-led? I say, yes, sounds amazing. They send me what's called a quote. I can get access to the Microsoft customer agreement, and I accept the terms of that. And part of that process, an alert that comes up that says, oh, you need to transition your billing. Would you like to do that now? I say, sounds scary, but I'll give it a go. And this is what I'm taken to at that point. So it's all the customer doing this. They start the wizard. It enables them to transition those subscriptions. And of course, from a technical point of view, you can imagine the person doing this is probably the procurement person. It's the person who has signed the Microsoft customer agreement. They're going to get this alert that says, are you ready to transition your subscriptions? They're going to say to the technical person, you okay with this? The technical person is going to say, oh my goodness, we've got mission critical virtual machines running, what's going to happen? Everything continues running uninterrupted during this process. Okay, so that's something the customer does, and that is technology that Microsoft have written to make sure that a customer's subscriptions here with all their resources transition to the new, it's going to a new platform, but it is a billing redirect to get billed through the Microsoft customer agreement. So that's the first one. The customers are transitioning themselves. The second one is transitioning to the partner-led experience. So Nick was saying transitioning from the EA or SCE into CSP. Is this an easy thing to do? It is not an easy thing to do. And there are going to be transition tools available. Kieran, are these actually available this second? Yeah, okay. Astonishingly. These are available this second. However, they are being restricted to CSP direct partners who are also certified as Azure Expert MSPs. In addition to that, the transitions are subject to governance and policies by Microsoft. So this is Microsoft just, if you like, having the final say in making sure that they actually think it's the right thing for the customer. So remember, these are all Microsoft direct customers. These are customers Microsoft have had that direct relationship with. They want to make sure that the customer, as they go over to the new commerce experience, has the best experience. This is the way it looks. So as a partner, so as a CSP partner, so let's say you qualify here, you have the tools, you initiate a transfer request. So you go into the Azure Management Portal and you send a request. And although Microsoft are going to be looking in the back end, the customer also has to authorize this for the transition to take place. So, can you transition a customer from old to new without these tools? You can. And there's nothing to prevent you from doing that. This is just Microsoft saying, we would prefer our existing direct customers to go to these highly qualified Azure Expert MSPs as they go to the modern commerce. So that's policy at the moment. This is possibly the most contentious slide we have today. People don't agree with this, don't like this. You're welcome to voice your opinions. Kieran is standing by, looking nervous. What did you say?
I said he's bigger than me.
Shall I make him sit down? Any questions on that? If you do fall into this camp, if you are an Azure Expert MSP, CSP Direct, you should have been told where you get your training and information about this, so hopefully that's in hand. Steve, Dave?
Is there any sort of time scale on that changing for the transition tools?
This is the plan of record. This is all I know about this.
To be honest,
You're on the microphone, Kieran.
I think I'm going to have to jump in at some point. The process has actually got slightly harder because when this was initially launched as a pilot to some of the MSP partners, this was designed so that the managed service provider could have full control over the billing and actually provide managed services. It was taken advantage of straight away, and people started transitioning just to get 15% off Microsoft in addition to the rebates. So restrictions were put in place, like as Louise says, approval from Microsoft and from the customer. It mainly pins on the customer understanding what goes on, because once they make this transition, they can't go back. And we had instances that were raised where they were forced to move, not realising really what the partner was doing, and then they couldn't come back even though they complained to us. So restrictions were put in place. I don't honestly think this will be made widely available, because the anticipation is that at some point soon we will all be on modern, and there'll be new facilities between modern to modern in the future that won't require any of this. This is just for getting EA SCE to partner-led. Remember, we're getting a lot of our EA SCEs to our field-led, which is modern. We're getting our old legacy CSP to the modern, which is being shown over here. And once we're in modern, this will no longer be an issue, because there'll be some facility between modern to modern. So the answer is probably not. This will probably remain as is.
You stated that...
Oh, now I stated.
Oh, here it starts.
It's contradictory. I was just trying to confirm that you said that you could still effect a transition for a customer from an old EA to modern commerce without using these tools.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just a bit confused as to why, in light of the other two steps, which would protect against those kind of scenarios, you would still have a restriction on the availability of the tool.
Because this is still not as clean as clicking a button like the other two. It's still a migration exercise. It still has an element of Azure expertise that's required for it. Just like if you could still move it without this tool, everyone who might have got involved in that before will know that's a manual migration which consists of a lot of work and normally quite a big expense. The most clean experience for a customer is to move to modern in those automated routes, and then in the future, if they wanted to look to move, there will be a facility of some sort. I just don't know what it looks like.
The only way you're using this is to go from existing old world SCE to new world Microsoft Led.
In my opinion, that is the smoothest transition for the customer at the moment. And that puts them on a modern platform, and then when we release, or if we release capabilities in the future, which I have on an engineering roadmap, there are things they're working on. I just don't know how they look and what they qualify as. But obviously when we release those, they're then in the modern platform. So presumably if they did enable a transition, it would be a lot more straightforward and see.
Modern Microsoft Led to modern Microsoft.
Exactly, you're no longer doing that legacy to what is a lot more straightforward and safe and comfortable for the customer.
I think as well, the reality is if I am a customer over here and I've been buying direct from Microsoft, then I might have a managed services partner who's been giving me help, but it probably isn't quite attractive for me. It's comfortable. I've been billed by Microsoft. I probably am going to go to Microsoft Led. So, and this transition straightforward. And then exactly as Kieran says, over here, as time goes on, I may start talking to partners. It's like, actually, it would be better to go to CSP within that. And that probably is the...
Yeah, and the main thing is then they're in a modern platform, they're used to the portal, they're used to that experience. It's just a case of they're now being built by the partner. So it's a much more seamless transition for them than going through this. There's been a lot of headaches from this. So it's not the holy grail that it appeared to be when it was first announced. It's been problematic.
Anna?
I think the rebate bit, you say they're losing their rebate, but remember that if they don't retain power. As long as you're doing managed service capabilities, which they want to do if they're moving to partner-led, presumably, then they'll still get paid the rebate.
So just go back to the slide where it says that you will get the APR for the first 12 months.
The SOA.
Oh, you mean the finder's fee, I presume? Is that? Yeah.
The migration incentive.
Sorry, the migration incentive. That is in addition to PAL. So PAL is on top of that. That's just like I call it a finder's fee, I probably shouldn't because it's not the official term. But that is in addition to also having PAL, which continues on and on and on, as long as you've got the correct role access and correct.
So I have a client that logged into the portal a couple of weeks ago and noticed that at the top it actually asks that if you want to migrate to CSP. Is that not the wizard approach that's become available to the client? But that's just greyed out.
Was that in response to having sent one of these?
Sounds like someone from the MSP community has initiated, one of the MSPs has gone to that client and initiated one of these.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But if it's greyed, yeah. Sorry to drop that in there. It might be someone in this room. No. Awkward. If it's greyed, it hasn't been approved. But obviously the customer would have to acknowledge that and agree to that and accept that for that to progress anyway. But that sounds like they have someone from an MSP has initiated this. That isn't standard.
Anything else? Or I'll confess to you, this is actually an emotional moment. It's my last slide. Oh, stop clapping. Dear, oh dear. So let us, you may still have questions and that's fine. However, if you would like to get on the road and get on your way and you just recover from the deluge of information, then you are welcome to. Kieran and I will be here, so stay and ask questions, on a one-to-one basis if you would like to. But any general things? Right, okay, that's a good point actually. So slides, the PDF of the slides will be sent to you. The recordings will become available and you will get links to those as well. And I'll just remind you to attend the training calls. I'll put a slide in which has got a link to all the licensing training calls that go on, and then you can choose to attend those as you want to. There are two licensing training calls. Just let me be clear on the difference. There's CSP Spotlight, where we deal exclusively with CSP things, and then there's licensing updates, which was originally intended to be for if partners who have existed in this old world, but I'm finding that there are so many topics now that cross over both that you probably want to come to both calls. For instance, this month, I am intending, actually it will be a lot of this that I'll do in CSP Spotlight, and in licensing updates I'll do things like SQL 2019 licensing. So as that's announced in the coming weeks, we'll do the licensing for that, and of course that is equally appropriate in CSP, so maybe come to them both if you want to.